Well, it's starting to happen like we told you it would. A lot of these so-called, quote, Brexit deals have not been proper trade deals. All they have really been are rollover deals with these countries, basically saying, what we will do is we will continue the current trading relationship with you until we can negotiate a new one with you, but for at least for the time being, let's continue things as they are. To which most of these countries have turned around and gone, yeah, sure, why not? And of course, the big thing, of course, remains to be seen whether any of these countries will actually give us better so-called deals being outside of the EU than we were inside. And so far, there has been no evidence that that is going to be the case. But today we are talking about the deal with Ukraine, because again, this was another deal that was hailed very much by the Brexiteers and our Brexiteer supporting, well, should we say, Brexit government. We're hailing as the new opportunities. This is what Britain can do now it's outside of the EU. Well, it turns out little more than 4 months after having to sign it, looks like, well, there are mistakes aplenty inside this agreement. But before we do go jumping into that and finding out just how embarrassing our government is, as always, please do remember to hit that like, share and subscribe button. And of course, down below there are links to my Patreon page, as well as one-off donation link called Buy Me Coffee, where you can, well, buy me coffee. And as always, thank you very much to all those people who do support the channel. And of course, please do remember while you're out there, please keep on wearing your masks and please keep thinking about social distancing. So, on with the show. So, this comes from The Independent, and the title is UK Forced to Reopen Sensitive Trade Pact After Errors in Text. Now, what does that remind you of? Because this isn't the first time. This isn't the first time that this has appeared in these things. We'll see. Let's see what happened. So, the UK has been forced to reopen its trade deal with the Ukraine, one of its most sensitive post-Brexit agreements, after errors were found in the original text. The pact was signed by Prime Minister Boris Johnson in October of last year and lauded as one of the key examples of Britain's post-Brexit trade and foreign policies. The agreement not only covers the commercial relationship between Britain and the Eastern European country, but also defensive cooperation to support Kiev's sovereignty. It followed the annexation of Crimea by Russia in 2014, an area still internationally recognised as part of the Ukraine. It is also came amid the deterioration in relations between Moscow and London in the aftermath of the poisoning of Sergei Skripal in Salisbury back in 2018. The UK-Ukraine ties were again thrust into the spotlight last month when Russia claimed that it had been firing warning shots at a British vessel that passed close to the Crimean Peninsula. Underscoring the political importance of the agreement in October, Johnson said that the UK was Ukraine's most favoured fervent supporter, he added. Whether it's our defensive support, subsidisation efforts, humanitarian assistance, or even close cooperation in political issues, our message is clear. We are utterly committed to upholding the sovereignty and territorial integrity of the Ukraine. However, two officials have told The Independent that the pact was already having to be reworked after mistakes were noted in the drafting of the trade chapters. Some of the errors are basically a result of the copy and pasting sections that bind the UK to EU rules, and the same officials said. Problems emerged when the Trade Department sought to create guidance on how the deal should be used by businesses in February and March after it came into force in January. However, the fact that the deal needed fresh negotiation and drafting was not made public by the Department for International Trade, so again, trying to cover up their mistakes. Once the same government officials said that this deal had, quote, no one wanted to get it wrong, particularly as it was subject to close scrutiny by the European Union. They added separately that the EU officially told The Independent that they had noted that the agreement bound the UK to rules in some areas that it had not expected it to. The spokesperson for the Department of Trade said it is a standard practice for small sections of agreements to be amended and updated over time to reflect developments or to add greater clarity, and this is helpful to businesses. However, one of the officials who is familiar with the agreement's development said that the changes needed to be made were not minor and could have a very significant impact on businesses. And they added that the amounted to errors of man-made rather than an update error. One of the businesses with operations in the Ukraine, which the officials did not name due to commercial sensitivities, has also been flagged with additional issues in the text, they said. These issues touched on trade in both services and goods, the official commented. Emily Thornberry, the Shadow International Trade Secretary, said, "This is not the only time the government has made basic errors when rolling over EU trade treaties, but it is far by the most serious." Out of all the 67 non-EU countries with whom the UK signed rollover agreements in 2019 and 2020, the Ukraine deal was the only one considered of sufficient strategic importance by the Prime Minister himself, making it all the more astonishing that this is now having to be rewritten. Ms Thornberry also added, "This is an act of complete, gross and utter incompetence and needs to be not just immediately reactified, but urgently explained." The sensitivity of the UK-Ukraine relations has been underlining the government's new integrated review of its defence and foreign policy review. One section on Russia notes that Britain will increase support for countries in Eastern Europe, including the Ukraine, where we will continue to build the capacity of its armed forces. Sam Lowe, a senior fellow at the Centre for European Reform, said that the mistakes in these trade deals are unfortunate but not entirely uncommon, he added. But it was surprising that it happened with a rollover agreement, because these tend to have included more basically copy and pasting from the text rather than a fresh deal. The deeper the agreement, it's a deeper agreement than others and also includes commitment to follow EU rules in some areas. And if that's one thing that we've learned, is that the UK government doesn't like to be bound by EU rules, Mr. Lowe said. The former senior Australian trade negotiator told The Independent that it is correct that agreements sometimes do need to be amended, but the substantial changes aren't often made as soon as the text of the agreement is finalised. The ex-negotiator said that this might be indicative of the Trade Department's rush to secure trade deals in order to ensure continuity after Brexit. Small incorrect changes or a failure to make the right change in the treaties can give big headaches, they said. Given the rush to roll over these agreements, the public should expect other trade deals to be revisited in the coming months, they added. Copying and pasting can be dangerous. So, there you have it. I thought this was going to happen sooner or later, because of course it was. The idea that you can just get away with like copying and pasting a trade agreement and essentially it just being all fine and dandy never made sense to begin with in the first place. So the fact that this has come up as a serious problem doesn't surprise me, but I definitely expect we will see other such mistakes like this, and not just simple mistakes. I'm talking outright incompetent mistakes, because this isn't the first time this has happened. You may remember a couple of months ago, all these new businesses that were going to be set up in these new Freeport enterprise zones that they were setting up, all of a sudden couldn't then actually trade with any of these new countries that they'd signed these rollover deals with. So what was the point then in these businesses then setting up in these free ports? Like I say, that's not, and again, that was a huge, huge error. But again, that is something that is still ongoing, hasn't been sorted out. So, just once again, just goes to show how incompetent our government really is. And it's staggering, the fact that these mistakes are being made. But there you go. So as always, thank you for watching. Please do remember to hit that like, share and subscribe button on your way out. And of course, down below there are links to my Patreon page and I have one-off donation link called Buy Me Coffee, where you can, buy me coffee. And as always, thanks for watching. And of course, please do remember to keep on wearing your masks and maintain social distancing. And as always, we'll see you all next time.